So here we are live at the GBGB head office for the protest that we've been talking about for quite some time now. Basically this is a group of greyhound owners and animal lovers who just want their voices and questions to be heard. We've had shocking amount of questions that have been sent to the GBGB that have been completely ignored. Obviously there's a self-regulating industry, so you know, if the GBGB aren't going to answer any of our queries about what's, you know, any cruelty aspects or concerns that the members of the public have, you know, we've got nowhere else to go to apart from the GBGB. So hopefully we've got a petition and some of our own complaints from concerned members of the public who will be handing over hopefully to the GBGB in hand, but no doubt they'll be sent down to the reception because the staff at the GBGB are cowards. They won't deal with us personally. So I'll let you start seeing what's going on at the moment. We've only just really started the protest. Lots of people have turned up to now, but we're going to see different people come and go throughout the day. Let's see what's going on. Here we are. So, straight away, this is certainly what the GBGB don't want written all over fences. You know, they're quite a complicit organisation, and even though they publicly state that they're not interested in the actual, they have no interest in exports, it goes to show you that, you know, it takes groups like ours and BGP to catch them out. The Eccles kennels, this dog, another kennel that was passed by the GBGB. The vet that put her name to the kennels to get them passed is under investigation at the moment, rightly so. She told Pete Rosney, who's the stipendatory steward for the area, that there was only 50 dogs there. He checked on 50 dogs, but unbeknown to anyone, there was actually 80 dogs at the kennels, many of them living in squalor. Again, straight outside the building, under investigation for fraud and bribery. They're in this building, which you'll never know because it's unidentified, understandable. So, you okay?
They're excellent.
This is Emma.
Hey, hiya.
She does the betting shop awareness days throughout London.
I do.
Do you get a good response?
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it good?
We go to central London, there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's brilliant. We stop and talk to people, spread awareness.
Yeah. What do you think though? I mean, do you think it'll change over time, or?
I think it's just awareness. I think it's just on the ball, just consistently making awareness, drawing attention to the...
Well, like I've said, we've had our chance at Parliament. Parliament done a review. People put their concerns across. They were ignored. Yeah. To be honest, unless we come up with something different to approach Parliament with, it's not going to work. There's too much tax to be made out of. This is Viera Gent, or we call Viagra Gent. She was the woman who sent dogs all over the world, exporting them to wherever. She claims she loves the dogs, but she is quite happy to allow them. As Rita and Kerry both proved, she was happy to transport these dogs to Pakistan just for breeding. You know, but you see, it's not just the likes of Pakistan, Spain, Vietnam, China, Argentina, even Ireland. There's some very, very poor husbandry in Ireland, and in this country, as we can see, cruelty all over the place. So, you know, this is what happens in this day and age. So just show you around the protesters. This is the building, the GBGB building. Hi Alex, you do the betting shops. Do you find they're very effective, the betting shops? Yeah. Do you get a good response by?
Yeah, we do. This is more like localised. It's on the back street.
Yeah, sure.
So people are coming back from work, so they they're more open.
Yeah,
and prone to, like,
it
stopping.
sounds different because you've got like loudspeakers going on with like Chinese talk, and it's like
And people are interested. Oh, wow, what's this?
yeah, and then well, I mean, all it is take hold of the leaflet and then make your decisions. You know, at least you've got a choice. I mean, that's the problem with these kinds.
Quite a lot of conversations.
Well, that's it. A lot of people don't realise the cruelty involved, and there is. They're not going to say, "Please have a good night on the dogs," but you know, around 700 dogs die of tracks every year.
Well, anything
you know.
to do with exploitation, even if it's animal exploitation in any way, they never show you the horror
the both sides.
They
Yeah,
only take the middle part.
Yeah, sure.
And they don't
dairy farms.
Yeah, of course it does. They're just showing you, and I always find, especially with the likes of the meat and dairy industry, they tend to put the better looking farms next to the motorways when people see these next to the motorways, and then deep into the countryside you've got these, you know.
And they miss out the whole veal section.
Sure.
And how they inseminate the cows.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with the greyhounds, same with horse racing, same with all.
Well, I'll give you an example of one dog. It was head honcho, and it was a head honcho, top honcho. I think it's head honcho. He had 10,000 pups, 10,400 pups out of one dog. Now, bear in mind, this greyhound's a black greyhound. Black greyhounds are the hardest to rehome. Yeah, because it's a champion.
They all look the same.
Like exactly.
There's no distinguishing facts about them. They're all the same. And in that in itself, even if you take everything else away, is pure exploitation.
Yeah, well, I spoke to a manager of a greyhound stadium not too long ago, who was telling me about their local RGT, and I said, you know, is there a big waiting list? And he said, well, it's just for certain dogs there is, but I know he was trying to make it not sound as bad, because I know there's a waiting list every year for black greyhounds at this RGT, but he even said 6 months. 6 months is a long time for the dog to be sitting around the kennels. By that point, it's going to be harder to rehome and change.
If you go to any of your local rescue centres, the cats, black cats. Brindles, people want the unusual.
Yeah, well, the likes of blue and brindle greyhounds, white greyhounds, they go out instantly, and then what you'll find is the likes of the RGT cherry pick all the coloured ones, like the ones that are easy to rehome, and then all the independent rescues who get no funding from the industry have to deal with a lot of the black male, black female greyhounds that
and the dark brindles.
Well, harder to rehome. They'll just go along with that, and then the stuff. This fella here, he lost £50 on trap 6. He said. £50 on trap 6 you lost, didn't you? No, you said £50 to me. Yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll make you rethink.
Stick them in dog food as a mincemeat machine.
Did you hear what he said? He said to stick the dogs in the mind. He's had a couple of days.
But you see, that's the thing, you see. But what are we, like 12 o'clock in the afternoon? He looks like he's already done a shift in work. He's bladdered. He told me in front of 2 policemen that he lost £50 on trap 6. You know, says it all, doesn't it? You know.
I just think it's awareness.
Of course it is, yeah.
The middle part, the bit that they like to remove. You know, the bits of the dogs that ship to board.
Well,
the sad thing about that is no welfare.
Well, with greyhounds, they have they're very, very responsive to temperature. They're not like Salukis where, you know, they find a change. You know, they can run all day in desert conditions, where greyhounds will just collapse.
That's their origin.
Yeah. So, you know, that, I mean, it's, you know, they've adapted this greyhound breed to be racing in like northern hemisphere climates like Ireland and America and, you know, England and countries like that. Yeah, that's sure it is.
To send a dog to another country for shoe breed and profits.
Well, usually as well, the actual standards of the shipping crates are below par, you know.
And they don't keep on top of that either.
But that's it. I mean, but again, we have the same with livestock, shipping them up and down the country, you know.
It's a whole animal welfare concern, you know?
Yeah, so I think it is about time that, you know, you stop listening to like the group on saying it's a good night out, and just do that little bit of research. Google ground racing, and you'd be surprised what comes up, you know.
Or go to Cage.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. You, yeah.
I don't know if you're recorded.
Yeah.
Go to Cage, NW,
Nationwide now, yeah.
.co.uk, all the information you ever want and need on the greyhound industry and everything that's behind the scenes, the trainers, the governing body, it's all incestuous, greyhound, the Great Britain, everything you need to know about the industry is on.
Well, we've gone a little bit further with Cage because the likes of we've actually gone to lengths at exposing the GBGB where other groups won't. You know, we understand the, you know, the legalities and all that, you see. But at the end of the day, once the industry start taking legal action against us, the press will be all over us. They'll love it. They will love it. You know, we've actually exactly.
And then removing yourself from that pool and coming on this side of the fence.
Yeah. I mean, one case I think it amazes me with the GBGB is one of the board members, John Curran, when Towster was getting built, which is a racetrack in the Midlands, well, South Midlands, when that was getting built, they had I think it's son-in-law or something like that, a relative give an evaluation for the job, an estimate of 600,000. That suddenly turned into 1.5 million, you know, and basically he's given family members jobs. Obviously he's not on the board now, maybe to do with them being under the investigation of fraud and bribery, but you know, it just goes to show you how money can go missing. Another thing that worries me again about where the welfare money goes is they consider the welfare to come under welfare of people. So where people are thinking the money is going on the dogs, they will send this money to the likes of to have car parks retarmacked, new carpets in the stadium. Well, it's the BGRF, the British Greyhound Racing Fund. Now the person who's in charge of that now, he runs Owlerton Greyhound Stadium. So you know, it makes you wonder. It's all and it's a big family as well. And when you say incestuous, there's quite a lot of family members giving each other jobs. You know.
That's what I mean by incestuous.
But I mean, like it's like Rachel Corden from Nottingham. She exploits the use of the police force because, you know, we've been told by pro racers that she's had some kind of relationship with a sergeant in the police force in Nottingham. So, you know, and we're wondering why the police are shooting out instantly for any kind of call from the ground stadium.
The day is, you know, it's coming to an end for greyhound racing. You know, stadiums are being closed down.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look at London, for example.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. So it's slowly as people awareness. You know,
I mean, for every one that opens, like 10 are closing. You know.
It's amazing.
You know, so I mean that.
Question this stuff. We're in a technology age. You know, people have the ability to question what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, they're pushing it more towards the televising of ground racing. I mean, it was made aware yesterday that it's now on Freeview, which is a little bit upsetting. Obviously, we'll have to start. Well, exactly. The company that does put the racing out on the visual for the television all around the world is SIS. Now, that company has just bought out 2 tracks in the northeast, so it makes you wonder what their plans are, whether they're going to, you know, have 24-hour bags racing for all the world to watch racing, you know.
It's a process, isn't it? And it's just, like I said, just keeping on the ball, keeping on top of it, what you're doing. Paige doing an amazing job, like amazing.
We can't give them a break.
No, you can't. Sit back.
You know.
Because as soon as you take a step back.
I mean, I'd love to just sit behind the computer and just run
wouldn't it be good?
A campaign.
Do all animal rights like that.
Run a campaign just from the computer. It'd be so much easier. Hi, Sandy. Okay, this is Sandy who runs the pool, and she also looks after a lot of the betting shop campaigns.
Hello. Glad to be here.
How do you find the campaign at the moment, especially in pool? What's the difference between doing, say, like a track protest to doing one in the town centre? What's the difference?
Well, I'd say the town is busier, far more positive, people really interested. People that go to the stadium have already got the mindset that it's an acceptable thing to do. But we do educate, we educate them both. and we've managed to turn people away from stadium demos, which is great, once we make them aware of what's happening.
Well, I always find as well is if some people, you can tell by how intoxicated they are. Sometimes it's best not just to not even just give them a leaflet. Just give them a leaflet. I give them advice and I say, get what you can for free, and then go somewhere better, because once you're in, that's it. Once you're in there to dive, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, they call Bellevue the sticky carpet of the north, and that's not the antis, that's the pros, you know. But you know, that's just the way it is.
No, the campaign's growing. It is so strong at the moment. It's fantastic to be a part of it.
I think that's what's always been hard with the campaign in recent years. There's been a lot of trouble getting anything done with, you know, and since like the social media came along, and it's so much easier to organise any kinds of gathering, any kinds of like, hey Pete, hey Pete, you all right? It's not too bad.
Hi Sandy, I'm Emma.
They fall, they feel it, them eyes say it all. So it goes right the way along. We'll obviously get some chanting on the go in a bit. Not too far along, we've got Bethred. Bethred don't actually own any tracks at the moment, but there's almost also time, because actually it is a very big betting shop, but they certainly do take bets on the greyhounds, and they are very highly responsible for the cruelty that goes on. I'd say, you know, if you don't bet on the dogs, if you're not one for betting on the dogs or the horses, you just go in there for the bet on the football, please use a different betting establishment. You know, William Hill, Ladbrokes, Bethred, Coddle, you know, they've all got their hands deep in the industry's pocket, and you know, they make a hell of a big earning from cruelty. Another great host there. Hello, Gavin. There you go.
I've been tracking your progress on the way down the M4.
We're doing quite well up to now. One of the ground trainers who's just been appointed a representative for everyone actually admitted on the radio that he locks his dogs up for 22 hours a day. So if this is a representative for the trainers admitting on the BBC radio that he locks his dogs up for 22 hours a day, then he's representing everyone, and surely everyone has to be brought into the same category, you know.
He's the cream of the crop.
Yep, he's the cream of the crop. Leeds by example. If the Leeds locks them for 22 hours a day, Beverly Heaton was the lady in Manchester who admitted in a national newspaper that she locked her dogs up for 23 hours a day.
Oh, I remember going there with you, Michael, and there was like, her kennels were worse than that Flatmatrank's kennel.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It was a big hole.
But it gets passed all the time. You know, and you know, rumours have been going for a long time that Beverly Heaton's moving to Ormskirk way, but I've yet to seen it yet.
It's better than the shack she's got out the back for a dog.
It is a shack. They fall, they fear, they die. Also promoting them as a breed. It's a very, very busy road. City of London Police have come along, make sure the pathways are clear, and that we have a good relationship with City of London Police. We have a good rapport with them, you know. Obviously the better respect you have on both sides, you know, the more leeway, you know, you'll get from them. Shameless. This board was originally meant for Pauline McLean, who actually starred in Shameless. There you go. Basically, simply said, you bet they die. There we go. Same ones. I'll just take you back up here. And there we go. And this is the one you really need to look at. This is where all your money is going on. And this is the exporter. Now, lots of greyhounds from the UK are actually being sent to Pakistan. We've got evidence of dogs that are actually in Pakistan right now, who have belonged to such trainers like Brian Thompson from Bellevue.
Hello.
And you bet they die. Right, so I'm going on a break for a minute. I'll go live again in a bit. I'll see you soon. We'll have an interview with the heads of Caged and BGP. But basically, this is the building. That young man there told us to get a job. Of course, then again, this is my week off, so as with most. So hey ho. Bye for now, everyone.